Thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure. And I will be talking about Mitocholine, which is the name of our company and also a name of our compound which we're developing. We believe that Mitocholine will keep the brain healthy for life and it will help to solve cognitive decline. Okay. Okay, what is the problem? The problem, of course, is the lifespan, which is getting longer, and unfortunately, the not healthier at the end of the life. And we know that there will be the amount of people suffering from all types of dementia will triple by the age of 2050. And the costs to the society are eye-watering. So we are focusing on the problem. What are we offering? We're offering Mitocholine, which actually affects the levels of the ATP in the brain. And I will talk, ATP is the currency or the energy. Brain is the most energy demanding organ. And with all types of dementia, with all types of neurodegeneration and in healthy aging starting from the age of 45, the levels of ATP decline. In 2020, there are, of course, multiple very complex mechanisms of the ATP generation. By the way, my background is also in mitochondrial biology and bioenergetics, and mitochondria are the small cellular plants in the cells, and they produce the ATP, actually, the energy mostly. What I want to say that the energy gap originates and it's a very complex underlying mechanism. There is a number of mechanisms. And the very good article or review was published in Nature Science by Steve Cunnane, our colleague, who combined every target which can exist in the brain, which leads to the energy decline. It is called brain energy gap. We are proposing Mitocholine, our composition, to address the brain energy gap, the vicious circle of losing ATP production and neurodegeneration being associated with the energy gap. We are offering combination of salt of choline succinate, which is a novel combination, patented, and nicotinamide together. And we are presenting the first multi-targeted composition because Mitocholine addresses several targets in the whole process of the brain energy gap. We know that we need all and utilize glucose for the ATP production. There is a complex biochemical reactions tricarbonic acid cycle, and we are affecting and trying to patch this all with introducing Mitocholine as an ingredient, as a nutritional fortification in the daily diet. Why? Because these are all components are metabolites, which means that they are present in the human body. Therefore, the toxicity level, safety levels, all established. These components were studied before quite for a long time, but they've never been studied in this combination. What dicholine succinate salt has been discovered and synthesized 20 years ago by the Russian chemist. And when I came across this patent, I knew that it will work on mitochondria because it consists of succinate, which is the mitochondrial substrate for complex 2 of the electron transport chain. And choline is also an essential bioactive ingredient and present in every cognitive enhancing nutraceutical on the market. What Igor's work, my co-founder, was devoted for the last 15 years of studying this novel salt of dicholine succinate in the insulin pathway regulation. He was able to show that it is an insulin receptor sensitizer, insulin receptor A, which is typical for neuronal tissue and in the brain. There are two types of insulin receptors, A and B. And he was also, and we all know that insulin resistance is the major cause now coming for the forefront to address the origin of neurodegenerative disease and the lack of the ATP production in the brain. We also were able to show in our experimental work that mitocholine, when applied, increases the levels of NADH. There is no need to say what NADH is. It's the enzymatic shuttle, which is the most cited in the anti-aging research. And in, yes. So we were able to show that in neuronal cultures. The actual work was done in neuronal cultures and in astrocytes, and we showed that the combined effect of novel dicholine salt of succinic acid and nicotinamide together work in synergy, enhancing the ATP level production. Because all the components are metabolites, we were able to show also the effect in humans, asking a healthy volunteer to consume a mitocholine for a certain amount of days, and we were able to show with the magnetic resonance spectroscopy non-invasive method that the pool of phosphocreatinine, the precursor for ATP, is actually increased very physiologically, intrinsically on the day 7 and 16. So all this, including the small informal clinical trial, which we conducted starting on the students and in the people aged 60, were able to show the effect of chronic mitocholine intake as a supplement or as a nutritional fortification or just simply being in the diet. And it elevated the mental focus and fatigue. So, as I showed you the brain energy gap and the ATP, our IP lies in the area and claims are very strong that we are elevating with this composition of matter first the levels of the ATP. We also have quite substantial patent landscape by now, and what we did is we achieved the regulatory approvals to get as a food for special medical purposes or to get into the food market due to the fact that compounds of our composition has been and are in the food already. We got GRAS in States and we got the EFSA is pending, and we also are aiming at getting more regulatory approval in the Asian market. We have de-risked the clinical trial plan, working with the author of the Brain Energy Gap, Stephen Cunnane, and their clinical research organization, Atlantia, which specifies in the clinical trials in food. And we worked out the protocol to test the effect of mitocholine intake in people, in the diseased people suffering from mild cognitive impairment, which is the prodromal stage, leading to dementia or Alzheimer's. So we are planning to start and to use the same outcome measures which were used in the clinical trials by Stephen's team, which allowed to have established link between the ATP levels and the cognitive outcome. And the cognitive outcomes are episodic memory, long-term memory, and so on and so forth. Plus, we will be using the secondary outcome measures, which will be the biochemical biomarkers related to mitochondrial integrity, and will be brain-derived neutrophil factor and many others, and showing also relation to the insulin, combating the insulin sensitization. As I say, it's the first multi-targeted composition, mitocholine, which affects two definite targets to elevate the levels of ATP. And now I will give the microphone to Simon, who is a member of our team, and he will take you through the model and business model of our company. Thank you.
Larisa, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about the commercial side of the business. My name is Simon Baldry. I'm the COO. Hands up, I am totally a commercial guy amongst all of you very eminent scientists here. My background is in the world of food and drink, some 30 years in the corporate world. So if I look at the opportunity, Larisa's already talked about the significant market there is for those suffering from dementia today. It's going to treble by 2050, 50 million today, 150 by 2050. But our market, as we see it, our target audience are really those suffering from mild cognitive impairment or the worried well adult audience. And firstly, this is a huge audience as of today. Some 200 million people currently suffering from mild cognitive impairment or showing some symptoms of that, and 700 million who are the so-called worried well. So firstly, a huge market. Secondly, a captive market. And Phil showed earlier on some longevity research that shows that as people age, cognitive decline is their number one concern. 61% of people said they were either extremely concerned or very concerned about cognitive decline. And interestingly, that was across all the generations. So I'm a baby boomer. I know it's one of my major concerns. I'm sure, looking across the audience, some of you would be in the same generational gap as me, but also amongst the Gen Zs and the millennials, they equally express cognitive decline as their number one concern. So it's a huge market and a captive market. Already medical foods, and our approach will be to enter into the medical food market because that's the easiest way into the market for us. It's a significant market and it's growing fast with strong compound growth. And from a competitive position, whilst it's a captive audience, we believe the market is still relatively open to us when we look at those competitive products that are currently targeting cognitive decline. And if we profile those against the impact they have from side effects on consumers and the effectiveness they have on symptom improvement, clearly there is a big market around supplements at the moment, but most supplements, whilst they have limited or no impact in terms of side effects, they have limited or no clinical data to prove them. Drugs, as we've heard already from a number of speakers, are addressing symptoms, not the cause. And innovation is coming into this market. So there's already been work done on ketones, which target some of those energy pathways that Larisa talked about. But the ketone products that are coming in at the moment, at effective doses, do have side effects. So we believe that the opportunity for Mitocholine is significant as we target a number of the energy pathways, as Larisa was talking about, with no side effects and the ability to have causal impact with a functional remedy with no side effects. How we commercialize Mitocholine, and we have an exciting pipeline that we will be developing. We're going to start with a medicated drink in the food for special medical purposes, a medicated drink that will deliver a daily dose of Mitocholine that will keep your brain healthy. That's our easiest way into the marketplace. But as we broaden our R&D work, the opportunity to develop medicated lozenges and gummies, center-filled lozenges and gummies, is there for us. Nutritional dairy products are also other ways for us to go as well. Equally, as we talk about some of the beverage companies out there, as they start to, big global beverage companies, and they start to think about where they go with their portfolio development, the opportunity for them to move from just pure hydration into functional beverages is increasing, and that makes the opportunity for us to look at functional beverages a significant opportunity for us. Today, Mitocholine is a liquid product. It's a highly hydroscopic product. One of the opportunities for us to maximize the reach of the product will be to form capsules and tablets, and that is part of the R&D pathway that we're working on. Turning to our route to market and the business model that comes off that, whilst we do the clinical trials that Larisa has talked about with Atlantia, we'll also be starting to build our strategic partnerships with, firstly, global medical food corporations for a go-to-market opportunity, and equally building strategic partnerships with those that will help us manufacture Mitocholine. We're already in discussions with two partners around the manufacture. One of them is a global leader in one of our core ingredients, choline. And we're also in conversations on the go-to-market side with consumer products groups. A leading beverage company is interested in functional beverages. and we'll continue those conversations as we go. The idea is to look at licensing deals, royalty-based licensing deals, or milestone-based licensing deals according to the circumstances. Medical food is the easiest way into the market for us. It's the way we are approaching things first, but as I've said, we have a broad pipeline of commercialization that we'll be bringing out, and the opportunity is then to develop further product marketing either through our strategic partners or through ourselves, communicating the consumer benefit of Mitocholine in the way that it enhances brain energy and enhances the healthy brain for life. So that's the route to market that builds the business model. And to give you a little bit more detail on the numbers of that business model, I'm going to hand over to the head of finance for us, David.
Thank you, Simon, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm an accountant, so I feel very humble in this esteemed scientific audience, but please excuse me while I just spend a couple of minutes talking about the Mitocholine financial plan. My background, I was co-founder and CFO for Quanta Dialysis, which is a dialysis machine for home use. Just got FDA approval in America last year. As Simon said, we've built a financial model that is based on one product using one distributor. That product is a medicated drinks format for Mitocholine only. So we're not including in this model the other product categories that are available as a route to market. It's just based on medicated drinks. We're assuming that we launch the product to the UK and the US market in 2023, selected European markets in 2024, and the important Asia Pacific market in 2025. We're going to make our monies by royalty payments, milestone payments, and also a margin on the supply of the product. The forecast is that we achieve revenues of 117 million pounds sterling by 2026, with an EBITDA of 8 million pounds. Using a conservative multiple of 15, that would equate to a business that would be worth 120 million pounds exit opportunity in 2026. And we think it's a compelling exit story. As Simon's indicated earlier, this is going to be very interested to food nutrition specialists like Nestlé, P&G, Reckitt, Bayer, and others. Secondly, as Simon indicated, we're already talking to one of the major drinks conglomerates. There are two, PepsiCo and Coca-Cola, and obviously we're talking to one of them. We're also in conversation with Balchem, who are the largest supplier of choline in the world today. And we think that also institutional investors will be interested in Mitocholine, having completed the clinical trials. The ask is, we're seeking £3.5 million at a pre-money valuation of £14 million. The funding to be used for the clinical trial, R&D activities, and achieve our regulatory pathway. We are EIS approved. I must also say that we are in due diligence with one party that is interested to take the whole shebang just after the new year. But we are interested in keeping the round open and have it oversubscribed. If I can hand back to Larisa to round up.
Thank you, David. So to round up, I will just show my team. We have the expertise. Igor is the well-known Russian chemist with more than 30 patented inventions behind him. I have a head of IP who's been 17 years the head of IP and neuroscientist by training in companies in biotech and bigger companies, pharmaceutical. I have entrepreneurs who has been in startups who are stakeholders, and I have an expertise in the commercial development in Simon, financial in David. I have a head of licensing with whom we are talking, and he is based in state, also worked for Nestlé. Our advisor is Bruce, who also worked for Nestlé and Glycom, and an advisory board are two professors, one from Oxford and one from Institute of Neurology, with whom I worked on mitochondrial bioenergetics before. So to finish off, a healthy brain for life, Mitocholine, and we think that if we would be able to deliver Mitocholine and make it accessible and affordable as an everyday diet, we will change the world. Like, for example, a fluoride, addition in the toothpaste changed the dental health in the last century. It's low risk development, non-pharma route to market, and all the components are known already for their benefits. And I think we're offering a manifold return of investment opportunity with an exit opportunity. Thank you very much. Thank you.